Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that.
Hello, every atom is here. We are back again. This is absolutely wild. Pam Bondi, Donald Trump's Attorney General, is now facing the very real possibility of being arrested. Yes, arrested. Not by some rogue prosecutor, by Congress itself.
We are now 259 days away from the midterms, and the administration is trying to put the Epstein files behind them. Over the weekend, Attorney General Pam Bondi notified Congress that all the materials had been released, along with an explanation of all the redactions made, plus a list of public figures whose names appear in the files. Here's a reminder. The Epstein Transparency Act that Trump signed into law actually required the Department of Justice to publicly release all of the Epstein files and to explain its redactions to Congress. But the deadline was nearly 2 months ago, and lawmakers, they are not satisfied. The Democratic co-author of the bill, Congressman Ro Khanna, responded on social media, quote, "The Department of Justice, or DOJ, is once again purposefully muddying the waters on who was a predator and who was mentioned in an email."
Because Bondi broke federal law. She defied a direct congressional order, and now lawmakers are threatening to use a power most Americans don't know exists. A power that could see the Attorney General of the United States fined daily or even detained until she does what Congress ordered. What did Congress order? Release the Jeffrey Epstein files, all of them, unredacted, by a specific deadline.
His Republican counterpart, Congressman Thomas Massie, took it a step further yesterday.
I don't think Pam Bondi has confidence in Pam Bondi. She wasn't confident enough to engage in anything but name-calling in a hearing. And so, no, I don't have confidence in her. She hasn't got any sort of accountability there at the DOJ. When I asked her specifically who redacted Leslie Wexner's name from the one document that mattered, she couldn't give me an answer. She wouldn't give me an answer. But ultimately, it's her who is responsible for the document production.
Bondi blew the deadline. She released less than 1% of the material, and what she did release was so heavily redacted the names were blacked out and the evidence was hidden. Now members of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, are saying Bondi violated federal law.
You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Ford. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter. So let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago.
She's in contempt, and if she doesn't comply, they're going to use inherent contempt to force her. That means fines. That means potentially the House Sergeant at Arms showing up, detaining her, and holding her until she releases the files. The Attorney General facing arrest for refusing to follow the law, all because she's protecting powerful people in the Epstein files, including potentially Donald Trump. Here's the timeline. On November 19, 2025, Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act into law. Bipartisan bill written by Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Massie. The law said the Justice Department has 30 days to release all unclassified Epstein-related records. Everything. No more hiding. The deadline was December 19, 2025. December 19th comes. What does Bondi's DOJ release? Less than 1%, a tiny fraction, and what they did release was so heavily redacted you couldn't even tell who was involved. Names blacked out, key details hidden, useless. Khanna and Massey were furious. They said this is a willful violation of the law. Bondi didn't just miss the deadline. She deliberately defied Congress. She's hiding evidence to protect powerful people. Massey went on television and said the most expeditious way to get justice for these victims is to bring inherent contempt against Pam Bondi. Now let's understand what inherent contempt actually means. There are two types of contempt. Criminal contempt is when Congress refers someone to the Justice Department for prosecution. That doesn't work when the person you're holding in contempt is the Attorney General. She's not going to prosecute herself. So Congress has another option: inherent contempt. This power goes back to the founding of the country. It's the idea that Congress, as a separate branch of government, can enforce its own orders without needing the courts or the executive branch. Here's how it works. Congress votes to hold someone in contempt. They impose fines that escalate daily until the person complies. If the person still refuses, Congress can order the House Sergeant-at-Arms to arrest them, detain them, and hold them in custody until they follow the law. This isn't theoretical. Congress has used inherent contempt before. The power still exists. It's still constitutional. And lawmakers are now saying it's time to use it again. Massey has been very clear. He said inherent contempt is the most expeditious way to get justice for Epstein's victims. They've tried everything else, asked nicely, held hearings, written letters. Bondi keeps stonewalling. Now it's time to bring the hammer down. Multiple House leaders, both Democrats and Republicans, are weighing inherent contempt. Bloomberg government reported in late January 2026 that it's being seriously considered. Imagine what this would look like. Congress votes to hold Bondi in contempt. They impose a fine, $10,000 a day. Every day Bondi doesn't release the files, she owes another $10,000. If she still refuses, the fine goes up. If she still doesn't comply, Congress issues an order to the House Sergeant-at-Arms. That officer shows up wherever Bondi is, arrests her, and brings her into custody. She stays in custody until she agrees to release the files. The Attorney General of the United States, arrested by Congress, detained in the Capitol until she follows the law. It would be a constitutional crisis, a massive political scandal, and Trump would lose his mind because Bondi is his Attorney General. He'd see it as an attack on himself. But Congress would be on solid legal ground. Inherent contempt is constitutional. It's a power the legislative branch has. And Bondi broke the law. She defied a congressional order. Congress has every right to enforce compliance. And this isn't just Democrats. Republicans like Massey are on board too because the Epstein Files Transparency Act was bipartisan. Both parties wanted the files released. Both parties want to know who was involved in Epstein's network. When Bondi defied the law, she pissed off both sides. Now both sides are ready to hold her accountable. Then there's impeachment. Lawmakers are drafting impeachment language right now. The grounds are clear. Bondi violated federal law. She misled Congress. She obstructed oversight. She's running a cover-up to protect powerful men. All of that is impeachable. If the House votes to impeach, Bondi would be the first sitting Attorney General impeached in modern history. People are already asking the obvious question, is Trump one of the people Bondi is protecting? Is that why she's hiding the files? Is that why she's willing to risk contempt, fines, detention, impeachment? Because Trump's name appears in the Epstein files. We know there are references to parties, meetings, interactions. During her congressional testimony, Bondi refused to answer questions about whether Trump's name was flagged or whether she was ordered to protect him. The dots connect themselves. Bondi is hiding evidence. Trump's name is in that evidence. Bondi works for Trump. Therefore, Bondi is protecting Trump. If that's true, it's corruption. It's the Attorney General using her office to protect the president instead of pursuing justice. At her February 11th House Judiciary hearing, Bondi got absolutely grilled. Democrats accused her of hiding names. They said she's treating Congress with contempt. They demanded answers about the redactions, the missing files, the violations of law. Bondi deflected. She said she's protecting victim privacy. She said she's following proper procedures. She denied any cover-up. Lawmakers aren't buying it. The law is clear. The deadline was clear. Bondi blew it. She released less than 1%. She heavily redacted what she did release. She's still sitting on millions of pages of evidence. Her excuses don't hold up. Now here's where the constitutional crisis comes in. If Congress moves forward with inherent contempt, if they actually arrest and detain Bondi, Trump's White House will fight back. They'll claim executive privilege. They'll say Congress is overstepping. They'll refuse to comply. Then what? Congress says we have the power to enforce our orders. We're detaining the Attorney General. The White House says you don't have that power. You're attacking the executive branch. Who decides? The courts. But courts move slowly. In the meantime, you have a standoff. Congress and the White House at war. The Attorney General potentially in custody. A constitutional crisis playing out in real time. All because Bondi won't release the Epstein files. All because she's protecting powerful people. All because she's putting loyalty to Trump above the law. Epstein's victims are watching this and saying, this is exactly what we've been talking about. The system protects the powerful. The system hides evidence. Bondi is the face of that system right now. She's the person standing between the truth and the public. She's the one hiding the files, protecting the names, defying the law. Congress is saying not anymore. We're done waiting. We're done accepting excuses. You broke the law, and you're going to face consequences. Bondi now faces consequences no modern attorney general has faced. Inherent contempt isn't a slap on the wrist. It's actual enforcement. Real fines. Potential detention. If Congress follows through, Bondi could be the first sitting attorney general in modern history arrested by Congress. That's humiliating. That's career-ending. She won't be remembered as Trump's loyal attorney general. She'll be remembered as the attorney general who defied Congress, who broke the law, who got arrested trying to protect powerful men in the Epstein scandal. For someone who built a career on being tough on crime, on law and order, that's devastating. She's not on the right side of the law anymore. She's the one breaking it. This exposes the corruption at the heart of Trump's DOJ. The Justice Department is supposed to be independent. It's supposed to pursue justice without political interference. The Attorney General is supposed to uphold the law, not protect the president and his friends. Bondi is doing the opposite. She's using the DOJ as a shield. She's hiding evidence. She's defying Congress. She's putting Trump's interests above the law. When the top law enforcement official is breaking the law to protect powerful people, the whole system is broken. This is politically toxic for Trump. Bondi is his attorney general. He chose her. He put her in that position. Now she's facing arrest, impeachment, national scandal, all because she's hiding Epstein files. People are asking why. What's in those files that's so damaging? Who is Bondi protecting? The obvious answer is Trump. Trump's name is in the Epstein files. Bondi, his loyal attorney general, is doing everything she can to keep those files hidden. This isn't just Bondi's scandal. This is Trump's scandal. The bipartisan nature of this pushback shows how serious it is. This isn't just Democrats attacking Bondi. This is Democrats and Republicans together saying you broke the law, you need to face consequences. Thomas Massie, a Republican, is leading the charge on inherent contempt. He wrote the law Bondi violated. He's saying publicly that Bondi needs to be held accountable. Bondi can't dismiss this as partisan politics. Republicans are coming after her too. That bipartisan unity makes it much more likely Congress will actually follow through. This sets a precedent about whether Congress can hold the executive branch accountable. For years, the executive branch has been expanding power. Presidents claim executive privilege. They defy subpoenas. They refuse to comply with congressional oversight. Congress has mostly backed down. If Congress uses inherent contempt against Bondi, if they actually arrest and detain an attorney general, that changes everything. It shows the executive branch you're not above the law. We have the power to enforce our orders and we will use it. At the heart of all this are real people, real women who were abused, real lives destroyed by Jeffrey Epstein and his network. Those victims have been fighting for years to get justice. They've been told the system will work for them. The truth will come out. It hasn't happened. Epstein died. Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison. The rest of the network, the powerful men who enabled Epstein, who participated in his crimes, have been protected. Bondi, by hiding the files, by defying the law, is continuing that protection. She's putting powerful men ahead of victims. She's choosing their reputations over justice. Those victims deserve better. Congress, by threatening contempt and impeachment, is fighting for those victims. They're saying, we're not going to let the Attorney General hide evidence. We're not going to let powerful people escape accountability. The potential constitutional crisis is unprecedented. If Congress arrests Bondi, if Trump's White House fights back, if this turns into a standoff between the legislative and executive branches, we're in uncharted territory. No modern precedent for Congress detaining a sitting Attorney General. No clear roadmap for how that would play out. The potential for chaos, for institutional breakdown, is massive. All because Bondi won't release the Epstein files. This raises the question of what Bondi should do. She has a choice. She can comply with the law, release the files, stop protecting powerful people, start pursuing justice. Or she can keep defying Congress, keep hiding evidence, risk fines, detention, impeachment. All to protect people who probably don't deserve protection. If she chooses the second option, if she keeps stonewalling, she's going to face consequences. Real consequences. Not political consequences, not just bad headlines, actual fines, potential arrest, career-ending scandal. What's it worth to her? What's she protecting that's so valuable she's willing to risk everything? Is it Trump? Other powerful men? Whatever it is, it's not worth it. The law is clear. Congress has spoken. Bondi is on the wrong side. If she's smart, if she has any sense of self-preservation, she'll release the files. She'll comply with the law. She'll stop protecting the powerful and start serving justice. Based on everything we've seen, based on her testimony, based on her defiance, she won't. She's going to keep fighting, keep hiding evidence, force Congress to use inherent contempt. When that happens, when Congress votes, when the fines start, when the sergeant at arms shows up, Bondi will have no one to blame but herself. She had a choice. She could have followed the law, released the files, put justice ahead of loyalty. She didn't. She chose Trump. She chose the powerful. She chose the cover-up. Now she's going to pay for it with fines, with potential detention, with impeachment, with a legacy forever defined by her refusal to pursue justice for Epstein's victims. Bondi fears arrest. She should. Congress is serious. They're not bluffing. They're not playing politics. They're enforcing the law. And Bondi broke it.